Alright, part 2 of labor and delivery. So, we got in the car and headed to the hospital. I had called both of my sisters and my dad's house to let them know, and they were all going to head over in a little while. When we got to the hospital, we checked in, told them my doctor's name, and went into their little nurse's room again where they just check you before they admit you. And I guess since I wasn't just having contractions, I had said my water broke, they didn't need to get me in the bed and all of that to check me. She just had me go into the restroom with her, pulled down my pants so she could see what was going on there. I was still really leaking a heavy flow of amniotic fluid, and in my classes I had learned that usually you either have a big gush, which is not as common, or you have just a little trickle of fluid. Not me, I had like a steady stream, like I was peeing for like an hour, it seemed. Maybe not that long. But anyways, he said, "Oh, yep, you're definitely in labor, let's admit you." So I walked down the hall, went into my room, got into my gown, and I was still feeling fine. I had a few like strong spine pains while we were at home still and at the hospital, but nothing major and really just all over the place. Nothing, what's the word I'm looking for? Nothing with no rhythm to them. Sorry. So they asked me to lay down in the bed so they could check me, they could get my IV started and go over questions and paperwork, all of that. The second I lay down in bed, I started getting really uncomfortable and really, really fast. They were asking me these questions and each one was getting harder and harder for me to answer. I couldn't talk very well anymore. My husband had to sign the paperwork for me. They couldn't get my IV started in my hand. Shocker there. I had like the world's tiniest veins. And they had to give me like some lidocaine in my arm here and gave me my IV here. They checked me and I was still 2 centimeters and 80% effaced. And that nurse was saying, okay, well it takes about an hour and a half or so or longer per centimeter for you to dilate, and you're not really in labor yet. And that really ticked me off. I was already in a lot of pain within like the 5 minutes I had laid down in that bed, and it was just really frustrating for a nurse to tell me that had just admitted me into labor and delivery that I wasn't really in labor. That really ticked me off. So I didn't really care for her at first, but we ended up getting along a little later. I was really uncomfortable at this point, and I asked them to start the bath water, because I had intended to use that to help with my pain. They got that going, and my mom had filled up a nice hot water bottle for me, and as the tub was filling, my contractions got so bad, and the only way I can explain them to you is it felt like I had a semi-truck parked on my spine. So I definitely had back labor. I don't really recall any pain in the front or where the baby was. It was all on my back, and it hurt terribly bad. Sorry, I'm looking at the clock. It was awful. My face was just clenched, my whole body was clenched. I remember my hands were just like claws. I couldn't, I was thrashing around in the bed, and people were trying to, oh, try this, and I couldn't hear anything they were saying to me, or I didn't want to. It was really hard. Sorry, whenever I talk about it, I kind of zone out. I just kind of go back to that place. Probably about an hour or so into this, after enduring all of this pain, to my surprise now, but not then, I told them, I said, I can't do this anymore, I need something. And so the nurse came in, and she's like, well, we can try this med, and it'll take the edge off. And the whole time I was just sitting there with my eyes squeezed closed, and I was just, please just get to the part about the epidural, because I know this is the only thing that's going to help me. And she got to that part, I said, that's what I want for sure. She said, are you sure? Because I know that you said you didn't want any medication. I don't want you to feel that you've been forced into this. And I said, no, I am sure. I am 100% sure that I want this. I cannot handle this. I didn't have the whole early labor, active labor, and transition. It seemed that I had like very minor pre-early labor straight into transition pain. I didn't have any time to get used to these pains, and I feel really cheated out of that. I wanted to experience the gradual buildup of pain, as crazy as that might sound to some people. I wanted to experience every bit of the birth of my son. But at that point in time, I just wanted to feel better. So, very quickly, they got me up to the edge of the bed, so I could curl up forward, and the anesthesiologist came in, and I wasn't scared at all at that point about a needle going in my back at all. I was just worried that I wasn't going to be able to hold still because these contractions were just making me just sway all over the place. I didn't know how to make myself feel better. I tried different positions for that first hour. Nothing worked. Some things were worse. I'm getting a drink of water. Sorry. Sorry about that again. Anyways, they gave me the epidural, and within 5-10 minutes I felt like a brand new person. I felt fine, and at that point in time I was saying, why would anyone ever want to go through that pain? Epidural is the best thing I ever did. They checked me again right after the epidural, and I was already dilated to a 5 within an hour after checking me the first time, and I was, I don't know, like 90% effaced. I can't quite remember. This time period's kind of fuzzy for me. Let's see. And then checked me, and the nurse was a little bit shocked because she just got done telling me that it takes an hour or more per centimeter. And but by that time my dad and my sisters had gotten there, and they were all hanging out in the room with me and my husband, and we tried to get a little rest, and I was shaking really, really bad from the epidural. Every time the blood pressure cuff would go off, they'd have to come in and like hold my arm down because it was just shaking super hard from the meds for some reason. They checked me again like maybe an hour later, and I was like at 8 centimeters, and then I sat there for quite a while. They didn't check me for a bit. It was probably, I don't really know, 3 hours or something. They checked me, I was a 9, and so it all happened fairly quickly. At about, I'd say, 8:30, the OB came in, and it wasn't my obstetrician. She was gone at a funeral that day, so I had another one. And fortunately, I actually liked her a lot more than I liked my doctor, so it worked out well. Eddie's gonna wake up in a second. What was I saying? Oh, she came in and she checked me, and I was still 9 with just a little lip of cervix left and about 100% effaced. And she said we'd probably be pushing really soon. She said to just let them know when I felt pressure. And the only pressure that I felt was in my tailbone, and not any pressure to push at all. Oh, I forgot to tell you, earlier on they did have to keep checking my sugar levels, and I wasn't staying regular with them, so they had to give me insulin in the hospital as well. And I had a little bit of trouble with my temperature going up, but nothing of huge concern. So at 9 o'clock, all the family left the room except for my mom and my husband, and the doctor checked me again and said, okay, it's time to push. You're 10 centimeters, 100% effaced, and baby's right here. So that's when I started pushing, and it was my husband, my mom, and the nurse in there for a little while, and the doctor said, oh, you're really good at pushing. I don't think it'll be very long at all. So